Welcome to SSPTV Community News. I'm Lisa Sugart, acting the role of a beekeeper, but I'm not one today, but I'm here with a real beekeeper. And he might look very familiar to you because by day, he is Dr. Michael Palermo, chiropractor at Zacco Chiropractic. But then on his off time, he's Mike Palermo, beekeeper. We're going to talk to him out of all of his garb to find out why he does this. So thanks for joining us, Mike, to tell us about your hidden life.
I'm going to, but first, I went to high school with Lisa. One of the smartest women I ever knew.
Who's the doctor here?
Yeah. She was brilliant, but we were both mountaineers. 1978 we graduated, and it's a pleasure to be here. So yeah, I'm a beekeeper. I've been doing it since 2017. Wow. And I got my start after reading an article that there weren't many honeybees. And I was in my yard looking around, and it was clover season. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, I don't have any bees in my yard. And I remember playing baseball at 22nd Street, seeing all the bees, because didn't pay attention to baseball at the time, looked in the grass. But we used to have a lot of bees back then. Yep. And actually found that Dr. Diome, mm-hmm. our local eye doctor, mm-hmm. He was a beekeeper. So I talked to him because we were both in the running club, and he said, come over, try it out. So he dressed me up in all my beekeeper gear, and I loved it. And then I had another mentor. His name was Roman Wilus from Poland, who taught me some really good tricks with beekeeping. And I've been going strong since 2017.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, Jimmy D, and we know Jimmy well because he does a show here as well, I Care Today. So now, beekeepers in the United States, you told me there's a lot. How many beekeepers are in the United States?
According to Google, in 2023, there was over 100,000. And about 20,000 professional beekeepers as of 2022. And I want to extrapolate on that. So there was the interstate crash a few years ago on October 13th, and I went out to help clean up, and that's where I met a commercial beekeeper, Lamar Wegner, who has been very instrumental in helping me get my bees through the winter, which is a very tough challenge for beekeepers.
Now, you were recently at Holy Family Academy School in Hazleton, and our Sam Lassant Jr. caught up with you there, so we're going to be showing some of the video from that. So what were you there for? You came to educate the kids about bees and why we need bees.
Yeah, so I had a patient who asked me if I would do it, and I'm like, sure, I'll do it. So Tommy Kostick approved it, and I went in there. We brought a live bee. It was a drone, so that's the boy bee who does not have a stinger. Mm-hmm. It was in a jar, totally safe, but it was a great educational display for the kids. The questions were, some were very funny and some were very in-depth. So I spent a good hour lecturing on bees, and the kids were great. They made colorings of bees and sent me a thank you note. It was a great experience that I definitely will do again next year, but to the entire school next year. Yeah.
What were some of the big questions that they asked that were like impressed you? Do you remember some of them?
Yeah, the one child actually asked how a queen bee is made, which I thought was interesting.
That is a good question.
And I think the first grade teacher was very knowledgeable on bees and really prepped the kids for that session.
Sounds
good.
good.
You want to know how a queen bee is made?
Yes, I do.
So the queen bee has a pheromone, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And as the queen bee ages, her pheromone sometimes will drop. So the other bees in the hive will sense that. And when she lays eggs, they have a few days to actually create a queen cell. All bees get fed what's called royal jelly, but the queen bee cell gets fed royal jelly beyond 3 days, and that actually genetically creates a queen bee.
That's pretty unique. Wow.
Explain that to a first grader, and they
Yeah.
got it.
Well, they're pretty smart kids there at Holy Family Academy. We know that. So now for our viewers, what message do you want to send to them? Because we don't want to be out there swatting bees and killing bees. We want to make sure we preserve bees because they're helping our environment.
Yeah, so don't provoke a bee. They sting. In the hive, the honeybees, it's the female that has the stinger. Mm-hmm. The queen has one. She doesn't really sting. But do not provoke them. Don't swat at them. They're attracted to smells, bright colors, sugar especially. As far as your garden goes, just let them do their thing. Don't agitate them. I let my dandelions come up a little bit before I trim them because right now it is dandelion season. We're going to get into clovers, so try to stay away from the pesticides.
Are there certain flowers we should be planting that will help entice the bees?
My bees love, they love dandelions in the spring, and sometimes we'll see those in the fall. Clover season's coming, so that good clover honey. And this is actually what we would call like the spring summer honey. It's a nice yellow color. This is from all the mixed flowers in the trees. This is darker. This comes from asters and goldenrod, Japanese knotweed. So you don't want to plant those in your yard because they're rather invasive. But the other flowers are great. They just come, they pollinate, and when they get when they take the nectar off of the plant, that's how they get the pollen on their little pollen patches and bring it back to the hive.
You brought some things here with you today.
Yeah, so this is basic honeycomb. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, to think that an insect could do this, but they build these out. So the honeycomb actually is deposited in a frame. This is actually off a honey super, so there's honey that was placed in here by the bees. They actually do when they bring the nectar in, which is glucose and fructose, off the flower. They'll deposit it, they'll hand it off to another bee, deposit it into the comb, and they'll dry it down to about 17 or 18% water. That's why nothing grows in honey. It's too dry. It's like Mars. And then they will, when it's ready, when it's at that percentage, they'll cap it with wax. And that's when we know it's time to process it. When this is 80% capped, then it's time to take it and process it. I feel bad stealing the honey from bees, but this is the surplus. We leave them honey for the winter so they can survive.
That's amazing. And when you look at it, how intrinsic it is and so perfect, you know, it would be difficult for us to do this. And a bee does it with perfection.
Everything they do is absolutely incredible, from making the queen to what the drones do. And each girl bee has a task to do, and as she ages, she'll start off in the hive, starting out like cleaning, being a nurse bee, fanning the honey down, or fanning the nectar down so it becomes honey. Then eventually they go out and forage. The part in their life that I really don't appreciate is the guard bee, because they're the ones that really sting when you go up to the hive near the entrance. But it's just an amazing thing. And the summer bee only lives 6 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they work 12 to 14 hours a day for 6 weeks. Winter bee, 6 months.
I did not know that. See that? We've learned a lot here today. Well, we thank you for bringing this to us, because this is really unique, and it's something different and something we all need to be aware of so that we can preserve the bees for what they do for us, because we don't want to be without them.
Yeah, it's a great thing. I really appreciate SSPTV bringing me on to educate everybody.
Glad to have you. Thanks so much. We'll see you with the bees, or we'll see you at Sacco Chiropractic.
You got it. I'll be there.